I can't believe I'm actually going to do this. Sword Art Online is a Japanese light novel turned worldwide mega hit anime franchise. It was created, written by Reiki Kawahara. Following the journey of Kazuto Kirito Kirigaya and his companions as they are initially trapped in a virtual reality MMORPG called Sword Art Online. The series was, however, first made from 2002 to 2008 as a web novel on Kawahara's personal website, and the light novel series would then begin in 2009. The previously mentioned anime franchise would then pop up on our screens in 2012. In the past, I have made it somewhat clear that I feel indifferent about SAO, maybe even a little spiteful. But truth be told, in 2012, when I first got a Crunchyroll account, two shows were all the rage at the time: Kuroko no Basket and Sword Art Online. I eagerly awaited every week for a new episode to drop and can honestly give credit to the show for introducing me to the light novel genre. Now, what is inspiring this dive 10 years later, you may ask? Well, November 6th, 2022. This is the date in the series in which Kirito and 10,000 others are initially trapped in the twisted reality death game. So I figured, what better time to give my own personal thoughts on the series. This video will contain mild spoilers for every season of the show out to date, excluding the most recent run. And as a reminder, these are simply my thoughts on the show. One about where it might have succeeded, a thought about where I think the show floundered or failed, and then also just my honest feelings on that particular season as a whole. I'm Summers with Baka to Basics, and these are my honest thoughts and opinions on the popular, yet sometimes messy, world of Sword Art Online. Class is officially in session. Season 1, Part 1. In my opinion, this is one of the strongest opening episodes I have ever experienced in anime. Period. Is this controversial? Maybe, but the way we are introduced to the world, given the basics of its mechanics, and shown a couple of key characters is solid, and it really got me excited for the show. Then the bomb is dropped on us, as a large, imposing figure tells all those in the game that if you die here, then you die in real life. Which could surely be a bluff, but the genius thing that Kawahara does is he actually shows everyone real-life news updates of people who have already died in the game, passing away in the real world as well. He then informs them and the families of those trapped that if you remove the headgears players are wearing, then that person's gear will short-circuit the brain and instantly kill whomever is wearing it. This opening episode gives us stakes. It gives us a character in Kirito who the audience know was a beta tester for the game, meaning he is a competent player from the jump. He has also not run his popularity into the ground with the fandom. The other thing that it does is it removes the created avatars from players, and instead forces them to play with a creation of their real-world bodies. Every little character interaction in this episode serves a purpose, and it also reinforces the most realistic idea of get good kid the world has ever seen. For where I thought Season 1 failed though, that would be its pacing. So for the first couple of episodes, we follow Kirito as he decides to play solo. He meets some friends he can trust, subsequently gets them all killed because he lied to them, start a plotline with a group of evil players who simply wish to kill everyone because F it, and build up his connections with the supporting characters we will soon get to know. This stuff? I like this. Then the remainder of the season happens. It mostly focuses on a single floor of the world's game structure, and begins the long love story of Kirito and Asuna. And Asuna is an awesome character. Later in the show. Here, she simply feels like the attractive and moderately tsundere-esque love interest for Kirito. This plotline takes up roughly 3 episodes, and then on floor 75, the show decides, nope, that thing about 100 floors, that was a red herring, and the guy we set up as the strongest player a couple episodes ago, oh yeah, that's the game's creator, and now he's gonna kill you all. The shock value of the scene is one thing, but I felt somewhat disappointed that this wasn't a slow burn. The love story was something that you could have shown to audiences for seasons to come, building it up and letting us have a solid conclusion. The original plot of the Death Game would have been something that easily had legs to create interesting story beats, long-running side characters, battles, and questions of morality for years to come. The first season covers roughly 2 years of time trapped in the game, but we only get to see 14 episodes worth of this, and over half of the show's events transpire in the span of a couple weeks. Overall, the first part of the show was interesting. It had a fun and engaging world to explore, really nailed it with some of the fight scenes and choreography, and my biggest complaint is that it just felt rushed because I wanted to see more of its world, and its characters that inhabited it. Overall, a very solid first entry to the show. I can't say nearly the same for Season 1, Part 2. Alright, first, my positive note. I really love the fairy aesthetic, and that Kirito has a new goal to achieve. He and everyone else in SAO has been freed from the Death Game, everyone except Asuna and 300 other select players who are mysteriously not able to wake up. This is a good plotline because it builds some mystery, gives Kirito a goal to strive for, introduces us and Kirito to everything that has been going on since he was trapped inside this gamer prison. And once again, the new fairy designs for the characters are unique, and they add another layer of fantasy to the world. The negative is that I have 10 completely separate topics to talk about here. But Johnny would most assuredly get his passport, fly down from Canada, and kick my anime-loving ass, so I will simply talk about the thing that I hate the most. The villain. This character is so unlikable and disgusting, which, yes, I guess that could be a point in its favor, but it's to a point of being unwatchable at times. Let's go through the absolutely messed up things this man, Nobuyuki Sugo, does. 1. He intends to make Asuna, who is underage at this point in the story, his bride, while she is still in a comatose state. 2. He is the one trapping Asuna and 300 others in said comatose state. 3. He traps Asuna in a bird cage, messes with her about the well-being of Kirito, blackmails her and Kirito at multiple points, tortures Asuna, threatens her with the lives of the 300 other comatose players as hostages. 4. The scene. Look, I just don't like the bastard. And the catharsis I got from when he gets what is coming to him simply wasn't enough to override the annoyingly contrived bullshit the sad excuse for a man puts our characters and subsequently us, the audience, through. I could have picked out a numerous amount of issues with the second season, but honestly, the second part of the season 1, outside it's simply off a villain, really did have a lot of other good things going for it. Great new power system, cool designs, more intriguing side characters that I honestly wish we were shown more of, yet again, and more good battle scenes with more fresh and fun choreography. Now, the one thing I want to point out before I go any further though, is that this season really continued that disturbing trend the show just can't seem to kick, and that is that many of its villains attempt to sexually assault female characters. It is a way to get me to hate a character, but it is used at an alarming volume in the show's history, and I wanted to bring it up now instead of mentioning it for the negative point I have for every season. Season 2, Gale Online. The biggest negative thing about the season, besides, once again, the ultimate motives of its villains, but we aren't going to talk about that, is that the spin-off show, SAO Alternative, Gale Online, handles the world in a much better way. Kirito gets a new skin in this game, being an avatar easily confused with that of a woman, pretty funny, meets one other character of true meaningful story progression, gets a cool lightsaber that he uses against people with actual guns. That's most of the things that they do with the world. The other secondary characters don't get a chance to shine, except they just get killed off. That is until we get to the spin-off show, which builds a surrounding cast instead of putting all the storytelling weight on Kirito and our new side lead Shion, as well as a villain that rarely speaks. Nitpicky, sure, but I tend to love shows more for story leading up to a cool battle rather than a bunch of cool battle scenes. Which possibly is this season's biggest achievement, seeing as how the battles are unique to the show that is, up to this point, mostly focused solely on close combat warfare. The scenes where Kirito with a sword is fighting off guns can be fun at times, and also seeing a sniper battle is way more intriguing than it ever should be. This season is a huge step back in the right direction, and at the time helped open me back up to sword art, even if it was just a little. Now, in between Season 2 and the mammoth-sized Season 3 Alicization, we have two side stories, Caliber and Mother's Rosario. Caliber is entirely skippable, and I actually forgot it even existed until this exact moment. Mother's Rosario, on the other hand, is a fantastic arc that brings the focus of the show to that of Asuna. She and a girl that she meets in the virtual world named Yuki, who has terminal illness. Yuki and her guild, the Sleeping Knights, along with Asuna, bring a touching and tragic story about fleeting frailty of life, personal relationships, and what happens to the human spirit after we are gone. I have no problems with this arc. The ending genuinely made me shed tears on rewatch. Up to this point, it's my favorite part of Sword Art Online, and I highly recommend it, even if it's just for its final episode alone. Season 3, Alicization, Episodes 1 through 12. What makes this enormous arc, it has as many episodes as the rest of the show combined, so intriguing from the rest of the show is that it focuses on a brand new world that Kirito is brought into, but we are slowly told the reasons behind why he's here. The first 4 episodes set up this new world, power structure, characters, and goals for us to understand. However, it doesn't show us how Kirito got here. It's only after this that we get a flashback to what is happening in the real world. Kirito has been brutally stabbed, and Asuna, as well as the people at a research lab known as Wraith, are currently working on an entirely new world known as the Soul Translator, a virtual world which supposedly has living souls in it. The story is such a different turn from the other tales in SAO that it helped breathe brand new life into the series. The remaining episodes build up Kirito, his friend and subsequent new co-lead, Yu-Gi-Oh! Sounds like Yu-Gi-Oh! I kind of just want to call him Yugi. As well as a host of other well thought out characters that finally bring actual meaning and substance to the main plot of the story. They actually get to be explored. The worst part of these episodes, besides yet another uncomfortable attempted sexual assault scene, which does lead to Kirito and Yu-Gi-Oh, who defended the people being assaulted, being thrown in jail, which is really messed up but leads to the next part of the plot, is that even in a new world with supposedly a new memory and body, Kirito is still stupidly overpowered. And although it's not as bad as it has been in previous seasons, it still seems to be a crutch that the show goes back to time and time again. Oh no, a big powerful enemy we have no reason defeating here, and then bang, Kirito time. That does seem to change though as we get into Season 3, Alicization, Episodes 13 through 25. The weirdest part about this section of the story is how smack dab in the middle of it is a recap episode of the previous 18 episodes. I understand the purpose of these episodes. It allows the animators more time to rest and produce a greater overall product. But it still irks me nonetheless. This episode notwithstanding, oh my goodness, if you love fights, epic saves, and well-paced storytelling with plenty of background information, this is the section of the show for you. Now in prison, Kirito and Yu-Gi-Oh attempt a storm the castle-like raid, fighting numerous controlled and brainwashed knights that they fight against with compelling backstories and a plethora of different abilities and fighting styles. This is a really well-told story, with the first half being set up in lore, and the second half being the action-filled, story-driven roller coaster SAO should have been from the very beginning. They even managed to turn down the Kirito LP usage considerably. This allows new characters to shine, and contribute to the end goal. Defeat the person who's controlling this world and save his and Yujio's childhood friend Alice. They also continue the recent trend of ending the season on a high note, setting up for the remaining story ahead. But this is where I'm going to end this, for now. I have so many thoughts about the rest of the season of Alicization, but would rather leave that for a more well-detailed, full-depth video that I'll probably get to in about a year. When writing the script, I thought I truly hated SAO. It obviously has its issues, and it is by no means a perfect show. It, however, is not the travesty I and so many other anime fans tend to call it. SAO fatigue is a real thing, and I genuinely believe that outside biases and the general tone of hate the show gets has affected mine and many others' views on the series as a whole. That was before I binged the show again, which really helped because the story flows so much better when watching it all at your own pace. I am by no means going to ever be a true SAO defender. Season 1 in particular has a number of faults, and Caliber is such a nothing story that bored me to tears. The rest of the show, even though it has its faults, are teeming with potential. Thank you SAO for years of entertainment and being a gateway for the isekai and video game genre. Now please stop with the Kiritone clones, my fucking goodness! We hope you enjoyed today's class session on a trip down memory road with SAO. If you enjoyed the video, let us know by liking the video down below and subscribing for more anime content in the future. I've been Summers with Baka to Basics, and I'll see you in the virtual world next time class is in session.